Chick Corea's band, who I know
Yes.
I know that you wanted to play with them very much.
I wasn't even really aware of Return to Forever at all, except one time we were actually in London, and Richard Kermode, who played with Janis Joplin, was in the band at the time. He was playing Chick Corea's new record, Return to Forever, the first Return to Forever record. And I heard it, and I went, "Oh man, this is it. This is what I want to do." And that night, I actually told Carlos that I was quitting the band. I didn't know that I would ever play with Chick, but I knew that that was the music that I wanted to play. And about a month later, I left the band, and strangely enough, Lenny White, the drummer that was playing at the time, who is the drummer with Return to Forever, he called me in San Francisco and said, "Hey, we're at a jazz club here. The Keystone Corner in San Francisco," and said, "Hey, you want to come down and jam?" And I said, "Well, what are you doing?" He goes, "I'm playing with Return to Forever." And I said, "Hell yeah, I want to come down." And that was, I guess it was an audition, and I didn't even know it. Yeah, that was the start of playing with Return to Forever. A month later, they called me to come to New York, and that's when I joined the band.
Speaking of San Francisco, you happen to have worked with one of my favourite bands of all times, The Tubes. How was that for you?
Yeah.
How was that
Oh,
for you?
that was one of the greatest times I've ever had playing music. Not only was the music fun, but the whole visual aspect of the band and learning about staging and all the choreography and everything that went along with the band. In fact, that band I was probably in for longer than any other band I've ever been in, and I think it was due to all of the spectacularness of the show, the whole show element, and working with Kenny Ortega and all the guys. We had a great time. I'm not sure, if you guys know that they're making a documentary movie of the Tubes. A guy out of Amsterdam is making a movie, and I just interviewed for the movie last year. So that should be coming out pretty soon.
I'm looking forward to that very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, while you were with the Tubes, you did several albums with them, one of which was Remote Control. Is that the
Right.
first time that you bumped into Todd Rundgren?
Is that the first time I worked with Todd?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first time I ever worked with Todd in the studio. I had been friends with him prior to that because I was a big fan of Utopia. And so I had met him before that, but that was the first time that we worked together, yeah.
Because you must have crossed, you've worked with Todd a few times, Remote Control being the first. You were on Todd's Nearly Human album, and didn't you work on XTC's Skylarking with him as well?
I did, yeah. Yeah, I worked on that. And another band also called Bourgeois Tag.
We know Bourgeois Tag, Larry Tag.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were pretty good. I would I would really like to ask you, what about your hobbies, Mingo?
Yeah, well, I have a few. One, I love to cook. That's for certain.
Oh.
I love
Good.
cooking. I'm a pretty avid cook. I cook everything. I cook any kind of food: Thai food, Chinese food, Japanese, Italian, French, all kinds of things. I love Mediterranean stuff. I make all kinds of things, and it's funny because I don't even frequent restaurants very much. I'd much rather cook at home, and if I feel like eating a certain type of food, I just cook it.
We're the same. Why pay more for when you can do it better at home?
Yeah. My lady and I always, we're always disappointed when we go to a restaurant. And she always says, "Mingo, it tastes so much better when you make it." So we just cook at home. Other hobbies are, for a long time, I was involved with Chinese boxing, and I studied a lot with old Chinese masters in San Francisco, and then I got into archery for many, many years and did a lot of championship archery.
I can ask you a question that ties in with your cooking, Mingo.
Yeah.
Are you ready for this one? We ask everybody this. Have a think about it. What's your favourite fish?
Salmon.
Salmon.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll make a note of that.
That's a tick for the salmon.
Not had salmon before, I don't think. Mingo, I'm just going to go through a list of some of the people that you've played here, and then there's a couple that I particularly want to ask you about.
Okay.
Chick Corea, Stanley Clarke. You've stood in with Weather Report. You've played with the Brecker Brothers. You've played with Steve Gadd, one of the greatest. Jan Hammer, Anthony Jackson, Paco de Lucia, one of my favourite guitarists, and of course Les Paul. Please tell me a bit about that.
That was just a situation where a bunch of people were jamming, and it wasn't like a particular gig. It was just a gig where a lot of people showed up, and he happened to be one of the people. Just as there was another gig that I did that was pretty spectacular. The same kind of situation was with Aretha Franklin, Billy Preston, and Ray Charles. Yeah, go ahead.
You've also played with Joe Satriani. There's another legendary guitarist, and
yeah, he was in one of my bands before he became Joe Satriani. Yeah. No one even knew who he was, and I found him at a little club.
You pick some good guitarists. You do pick some good guitarists. Here's one that is really close to my heart.
You're going to say Pat Thrall?
No, I'm going to say Al Di Meola.
Oh, Al.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Now, you did what, 6 or 7 albums with Al?
I did 9.
And you wrote most of them as well for him?
Yeah, I wrote the lead-off songs on the first 8 albums. Mm-hmm.
Now, what's it like playing with who I think is possibly the greatest guitarist alive?
Well, he's for sure a perfectionist. We were pretty young. I mean, we were in our 20s, and as a matter of fact, when Al went to CBS for his first record deal, he took my demo, and it had all of my songs on it. And that's how he got the deal. The deal was that he had to record my songs because he didn't really have any music at the time. And he had called me and said, Mingo, I really like your sound, because I had a band at that time. It was right after leaving Return to Forever, and I put a band together called Flight Never Ending, which there is a solo album, a Mingo solo album, Flight Never Ending. And it has quite a few of those songs that are on the Al Di Meola songs records as well. The Wizard and... well, we changed the names, I believe, but quite a few of those songs. So, I mean, we were friends, we became very good friends, and in fact, I just played with Return to Forever after not seeing Chick for 27 years last year with him in San Francisco, and I also played with Al after not seeing him for almost 20 years.
Brilliant.
And Stanley Clarke as well. It was really funny last year. All of these guys came through San Francisco. Stanley Clarke came with doing the 3-bass thing with Victor Wooten and Marcus Miller and Stanley Clarke, and I went and played with them. And Return to Forever did the big Return to Forever showcase where they got back together. And then Al played at Yoshi's in San Francisco, and I went and sat in with them. So, I'm starting to get out and play with these guys again a little bit. Yeah, Al is, well, you asked me what kind of player. I mean, he's a brilliant musician for sure.
So, Mingo, tell us, please, darling, what are you up to at the minute? What is the thing that is getting your wheels greased?
Well, right now, my fiancée, Carissa Gallo, and I have a band called Room of Voices. Mm-hmm. And we just finished, and we just have our second CD is just about to come out, and we're getting ready to start playing, touring, and stuff. And so it's a 2-piece, so it's pretty interesting. It's me on drums and electronic percussion and vocals, and Carissa's doing all of the keyboards and electronic drums as well, and we both sing. So it's pretty powerful. It's a combination of funk and reggae and world kind of stuff. We use a lot of. It might be at times reminiscent of My Life in the Bush of Ghost.
right.
which you guys know.
David Byrne and Brian Eno.
Oh, yeah. See,
Yeah.
This is more my department. Like
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah, well, I did that. I did that record with those guys, and I did most of the percussion on that record. So,
How was it working with Brian Eno?
oh, it was wonderful. He's great. You know, I'm sure it was so strange, like talking with him, because I don't even know if he knows what he's doing half the time. But he's so in tune with electronics and synthesizers and stuff. It's really, really cool. As myself, you know, if you guys probably are not aware of that first Mingo record, Flight Never Ending, but you know, that's all really innovative synthesized music. At the time, you know, I was doing a lot of stuff with ARPs and ARP 2600s and ARP 2500s and Mini Moogs, and which was very, very innovative at the time. And so working with Brian was great, because he's a master with that stuff.
Well, Mingo, thank you very much indeed for talking to us today.
Yeah.
We've had a lovely time. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the one and only Mr. Mingo Lewis.
Legend.
Thank you, Mingo.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it.